going on, everyone? Welcome back to Cast Iron Cooking. My name's Austin, and today we're going to be making homemade hot honey pizza from a scratch-made dough. Let me show you how it's done. Now we're going to start off with some instant yeast. Pretty much every grocery store carries this, and we're just going to add 1 teaspoon into some lukewarm water and go ahead and give it a little stir. Into our water, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of sugar. This is going to help the yeast bloom. The yeast is actually going to start feeding off of those sugars, and you should start to see little bubbles on the top of the water. Now I'm going to grab a mixing bowl, and into that I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of sea salt and some organic all-purpose flour. Really, the better the flour you can get, the better the overall product will be. Into that, we're going to add our yeast and water, and we're going to give that a nice stir. We want to get a good dough ball before we move it to our cutting board. I like to take a generous amount of flour and throw that down on the cutting board. I also like to move a little bit off to the side and use that throughout the kneading process. Now go ahead and knead this for 10 minutes. I like to set a timer and listen to some music or watch TV during this process. In terms of consistency, we want our dough just dry enough where it's not sticking to our fingers. This requires adding little bits of flour as you go. After 10 minutes, we're going to take our dough and form it into a nice circular round ball. Take a little bit of oil and pour that on top. This is going to help keep the dough from drying out while it proofs in the fridge. Now cover with cling wrap, and into the fridge this goes for at least 6 hours. 6 hours later, our dough has doubled in size and we're ready to start making our pizza. I'm going to take a sheet of culinary parchment paper and put that down on the cutting board. I much prefer this method versus trying to build the pizza directly onto the pizza peel, as it tends to stick and it ends up being a real mess sometimes. Now onto this parchment paper, I'm going to add a generous portion of this semolina flour. It really gives the bottom of the pizza a nice little crunch. This is enough dough for around 3 pizzas. So I'm just going to cut off what I need for this one, and back into the fridge the rest goes for later. Now I like to use my fingers, knuckles, and palms to start to stretch the dough into a circular shape. It's really important to leave the dough out at room temperature for around 45 minutes to an hour. This is going to allow it to become really soft and pliable. It can be really hard to work with if you just try to take it out of the refrigerator and try to stretch it when it's really cold. Now, once I'm close to the shape I'm looking for, I'm just going to take this rolling pin here and I'm just going to hit the outer edges and flatten those out a little bit. For sauce today, I'm using this raw organic tomato sauce, and I'm just going to go ahead and pour that into a little bowl here. And into that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt, as well as 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. We're going to go ahead here and give this a little stir. And then we're also going to add 1 teaspoon of sugar and a generous portion of Italian seasoning. Now we're going to go ahead and add our sauce to the crust. I like to start in the middle and make little circles working my way outward. In terms of sauce and toppings in general, Just use the amount that you like. For cheese today, I'm using this low moisture mozzarella cheese. Always use low moisture cheese on your pizza. That prevents you from having a buildup of oil on top. Whenever you see a pizza and it's just covered kind of in that oil, it's almost always because of the cheese they're using. I'm also going to add a couple flakes of this Parmesan cheese as it adds a nice little contrast to the mozzarella. Now for the best part, the pepperoni. As you can see, I like to go pretty heavy with my pepperoni. I've gone ahead and preheated our oven to 500 degrees, and inside of it we have our cast iron pizza stone. Now for the best part, let's get this pizza in the oven. Here I have our pizza peel, and watch how easily this parchment paper slides onto this. And we're just gonna finish it off with a little Mike's Hot Honey. I gotta be honest, guys, that hot honey is dangerously good. If you have not tried that on a pepperoni pizza, I can't recommend it enough. It complements the pepperoni so well, gives it kind of that nice spicy kick. Give it a try.